All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Sunday, February 25th. We got a decent-sized NBA slate to dive into in today's video. Like we always do, we're going to go through each and every one of these games. I'm going to give you my lean on the spread. I'll give you my lean on the total. We'll talk about any other plays, like player props that we like within the game. But as always, keep an eye on that pinned comment of this video for all of my final plays. If you do want to fade me and do the opposite. Last night, a pretty good night. Again, we're having these weird sort of unit discrepancies, or not discrepancies, but the way that the X's and the check marks look, it looks like we had a 2-2 night, right? But those two X's were 0.5 units each, so you can pretty much consider that one X, and we had two full unit cashes with the parlay over the Magic money line and the Celtics money line, and then the Porzingis over 1.5 3-pointers made, which at some point that's just going to get juiced through the moon, right? Because he's been cashing that like crazy. For the parlay, we did that with OddsJam, which we'll talk about OddsJam later on in the video here today as well. We had 0.1 unit on there. That was the idea. We didn't end up pulling the trigger on it, so I figured, all right, well, whether it cashes or doesn't cash, we won't count it because it'd be kind of crappy of me if it cashes. And I'm like, yeah, we'll count it, even though we didn't roll with it. You know what I mean? So it was more of a fun parlay, but nonetheless wouldn't have made a dent either way there. So yeah, a little bit of profit over on Saturday night. The news starts to get a little bit worse and a little bit more dreary because we do have, and I should have worn all black for this episode, the ride of the day from Picked It. It pains me to drop the womp womp. Picked It had 6 wins in a row. Clap it up. We'll pump in some crowd noise. But this one, Bogdanovic does not come through. Over 14.5 points. Picked It. I can't say let us down because gave us 6 picks in a row that cashed, right? But this pick does not come through. But shout out to Picked It for the longest ride of the day streak to date. I know we had Fred, I know we had Quan, but Picked It surpassed both of them with 6 picks in a row. So you know what? A cha-ching for him overall, but we did have to give the womp womp. If you guys don't know what the ride of the day is, all you got to use is hashtag ride of the day in the comments. Give me an absolute banger of a pick. I'm jumping on board with one person's play, and I'm riding with you. And then I give you a shout out in the next video, win or loss. Also give you a shout out over on my Twitter at EvGuyBoston. Make sure you guys go follow me there. And if you win, we continue to ride with your picks. And then you get a little bit of a little bit of spot on the show, like Picked It did for 6 straight or 7 straight, daily shows. He was on here, so shout out to Picked It. If you guys do want to follow his journey, I linked his YouTube channel in the pinned comment of yesterday's video. Go check it out. But yeah, we're on the road to a new ride of the day, so make sure you guys get those hashtag ride of the days in the comments. But let's jump into game number 1 here. We do have the Sixers taking on the Bucks. Actually, before we do that, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. What are we doing here, right? Come on now. Sixers taking on the Bucks. Right now, Sixers 5.5-point dogs at home. Total sitting at 233.5. Sixers still obviously going to be without Joel Embiid. Martin and Lowry are both probable, and then Covington is out. Big news on the injury front for the Bucks here is that knee injury for Giannis. He's got knee tendonitis, but he's expected to play. He is listed as probable, but obviously if he doesn't play, that's going to be a big blow to this team. I'm keeping an eye on the injury report because right now I do lean towards the Bucks minus the 5.5 points, and I know it's kind of crazy to even bet on the Bucks, but we're looking at a really like beaten and bruised Sixers team. I don't think they kind of like shock people. Like they beat Cleveland last game, right? In kind of shocking fashion, but it was without Donovan Mitchell. But I just don't think they do it twice in a row, and I honestly think coming out of the break, Milwaukee with a pretty damn good win over Minnesota in Minnesota. They were 4-point dogs. They win the game by 5 outright. Who's to say they can't kind of build on that, right? So I'll lean Milwaukee minus the 5.5 points in this spot. In terms of a total, I'm going to slightly lean towards the under just because we've seen Milwaukee's defense tighten up a little bit, which is crazy to say because they're so bad defensively early in the year. And their offense hasn't been all that crazy. Last 4 games, 112, 97, 110, and 112. And then Philadelphia, you don't really know what you're getting offensively from them without Joel Embiid, right? So I don't necessarily want to trust the offense in this spot on either side. So I slightly lean towards the under. When it comes to player props, I do have a couple that I like, and they're both 3-point props, which we've been cashing these as of late. So all the 3-point prop haters out there, we've been cashing these, but I like Brook Lopez yet again over 1.5 3-pointers made. Cashed last game. He's hit this in 4 of his last 5. He's hit it in 7 of his last 9, and he's shooting the volume that we need. Over his last 10 games, he's shooting 7.3 attempts per game, knocking those down at a 35% clip. Again, we just need 2 to fall. I think he took like 9 or 10 threes last game as well. So I like that spot for him. I also look at Malik Beasley, over 2.5 3-pointers made. This is a spot in which, you know, you might not like the look of it right away. Yes, he's cashed this in 5 straight, but again, you're looking at a guy that the shot attempts are there, you know, 9 attempts, shooting at 42% rate. Like, the math does work out, but what you don't like is looking at, oh, well, the Sixers, you know, allowing the 5th fewest threes on the season to the opposing shooting guard. That kind of makes you shiver in your boots. But then you look at it more recently. Over the last 7 games here, 2 shooting guards, the Sixers allowing the 2nd most threes. So it completely flips on its head. I like the spot from Malik Beasley here. Last time he played them, he only had, this was, you know, on, you know, right in the beginning of the year, right? He only had 1 3, but that was only on 1 attempt. He's definitely carved himself out as more of a 3-point shooter in this spot now, overall, like, I guess, you know, for this team, right? So I don't mind it. And honestly, no matter where you're looking at it, above the break 3, corner 3s, like, this isn't a Sixers team that has been covering the 3 all that well within the last 10 games. So I like those 2 player props, as well as the Bucks -5, and then a slight lean towards the under in this spot. All right, next up, we have the Suns taking on the Lakers here. Suns at home, -4. By the way, that Milwaukee game is 1 p.m. Eastern time. This game is 3:30 Eastern time, so we do have a couple earlier games today. But I like the Phoenix Suns in this spot now. Nurkic is going to be a game-time decision, as is Eric Gordon, but so is LeBron and Anthony Davis. So I don't really want to, you know, look at game-time decisions and say, oh, that's a huge deal, because both of these teams have guys that we want to keep an eye on. If Nurkic is out and those 2 other guys play, maybe we kind of stick away from this one, but nonetheless, Phoenix has got to be eager for a win. Yet to get a dub out of the All-Star break. They lose to Dallas, they lose to Houston as favorites in a game that they probably could have won as well, but now they're back in Phoenix, and I think it's a good spot against the Lakers. Like, the Lakers coming off of a game in which they just beat San Antonio, head-to-head this season too. When you look at these 2 teams, they've played a few times. Lakers have won 3 of the 4. They've split when it comes to covering, but the last time they played in LA in the most recent game, Phoenix took it to them, 127-109. Again, injuries kind of dependent, you know, no Bradley Beal. Nurkic, if he doesn't go, then maybe we stay away from it, but I do think that if they're relatively healthy, this is a Phoenix team that's going to be a little bit more hungry than the Lakers in this spot. So I like them minus the 4 points. Total sitting at 241.5, and both these teams playing with crazy pace as of late, so I don't really think that I can consider the under. Like, it doesn't necessarily make me, you know, hooting and hollering about taking the over, but the way that these 2 teams are playing, I don't know if the under is even really consideration as of right now, so I'll slightly lean towards the over, but I doubt it becomes a final play. One player prop I like in this spot, and it's going to be a guy that's been on absolute fire. It's going to be Austin Reeves over 23.5 PRA. So a couple reasons why I like this spot. So on the season here, the Suns allowing the 26th, or ranked 26th, so the 5th most rebounds allowed to the shooting guard position, and the 4th most assists allowed to the shooting guard position, which is great because I think that that's what he's going to need, a decent amount of rebounds and a decent amount of assists to get over the hump here at 23.5. What I like is the fact that over his last 10 games here, he's shooting the ball 14 times per game. If he can, 6 of those are threes usually, so if he can put up the field goal attempts, I do think the points portion of this will come, not to say fairly easy, but you know, in a good cashable spot. So I don't mind his points number either. I just think that he can also get the job done and fill the stat sheet with rebounds and assists as well. So I'm taking a peek at Austin Reeves over 23.5 PRA. He's kind of dinked and dunked around this line when playing Phoenix overall, so he doesn't really have the head-to-head track record, but 10 potential assists over his last 10 potential assists over his last 10 games here, and then from a rebound chances perspective, we have it up here, 8 rebound chances. So that's, you know, at least what it should be is a floor of rebounds plus assists, right? And then his points line is 14.5. He's shooting the ball as many times as those points. Should be a good spot for Austin Reeves. Again, the only thing that kind of makes me hesitant about it is the fact that we're looking at a guy that really hasn't been like super good, you know, in terms of his trend to that line. But again, Phoenix allowing plenty of assists and rebounds both on the season and as of late to the shooting guard position. All right, guys, before we move on, quick break to talk about odds jam. If I were to say this, you're going to buy a car, right? The same exact car. One dealership is offering it for 10 grand. If you walk down the street, one block, you can get it for 5 grand. Which dealership you're going to buy that car from, right? That's exactly what OddsJam helps you do, only it's for sports betting, not for buying the Maserati you've always dreamed of. This is the positive EV screen, which is essentially what I'm talking about. For example here, Coventry City FC. So this is a soccer bet, and I've already locked this one in. You can see the check here. They're over 3.5 team total for this game is plus 162 over on FanDuel. If we look at where that is in the market, it's a plus 132 play across most sportsbooks. For example, ESPN Bet plus 120, DraftKings plus 120, MGM plus 120. We're getting it for plus 162 over on FanDuel. Does it guarantee that it cashes? No, it's still a bet, right? But you can guarantee that you have an edge going into it. All the time, you'll even see plays that are, minus 120 on some sportsbooks, and you're getting it for plus 105 on one sportsbooks out there. Each and every one of these sportsbooks are setting their own lines, and it's time you start capitalizing on the ones that don't get it right, or at least miss price line. So go check out OddsJam, guys. I'll have a link in the pinned comment. You can also use code GUYBOSSON, and you'll get 25% off. The link will give you 7 days free. No brainer to go try it for 7 days. Why wouldn't you try this tool for 7 days? And this is just one of the many. But then you can use code GUYBOSSON again, and you'll get a discount there as well. So go ahead and check it out, guys. Again, that is OddsJam. I highly recommend you checking it out because honestly, I've been cashing with this tool, and I have a video coming out about a 30-day positive EV sort of experience. I already did the arbitrage one, guys. Go ahead and check it out. You will not regret it. Go check out OddsJam. Now let's go ahead and jump back into today's games. All right, next up, we have the Pacers taking on the Mavericks. Very important injury news here. Luka Doncic is listed on the injury report as probable, so we expect him to play while we break down this game, but obviously something you're going to want to keep an eye on before locking this in, as is Derek Lively. He's also listed as probable. No major injuries on the side of the Indiana Pacers here. It looks like questionable is Jalen Smith, so I guess you can say that that's at least notable. In terms of a spread pick here, I'm going to lean towards Dallas. This is essentially a pick-em game, and I do think that Dallas is playing far better basketball than Indiana. I'm not knocking Indiana. They're winning more games as of late than they're losing. In their last 7 games here, they've won 5 of them. But if you look at the last 7 games for Dallas, they've won all 7. They've won 8 of their last 10, and they're covering. They've covered in 5 of those, or actually 6 of those 7 wins. So got to give them credit there. And I do think that, yes, they're on the road, but the last road trip they played Philly, Brooklyn, and then the Knicks. They swept that. They won all 3 of those games. And I don't think Indiana is confirmed better than those teams as of right now, even with the injuries on those teams. So yeah, I might be knocking Indiana a little much by saying I like Dallas all the way, and honestly, kind of smells like a trap line as well. But I still think that if these two teams are going to play, Pacer basketball, or even if they try and up the tempo, not, to a fullest degree, but a little bit, Dallas can do that, right? These are two teams that are going to play fast basketball. Dallas can hang, so I'm going to lean towards Dallas here. I like them on the money line. I also don't mind a few player props in this spot in terms of points and whatnot, but I think we might save that for a same-game parlay because nothing confirmed right now. I'm not hiding anything from you guys, but I do think that there is some same-game parlay potential here, if we take some alternate lines and put a few of them together. So keep an eye on the pinned comment. If we do a same-game parlay within this game, I'll list it as a link for a YouTube short, so you guys can watch that as well down in the pinned comment. In terms of the total, I mean, you'd be silly to consider the under, I guess. I'm not going to be pulling the trigger on the over because it is such a high number, but you aren't going to catch me taking the under against two teams that are playing with crazy pace. Dallas's defense has been, I don't want to say okay, but Indiana's hasn't, right? Indiana just let up 125 in back-to-back game, or no, not 125, 115 and 125 to Toronto and then Detroit. So, yeah, I'm not really trusting any sort of under vibes in this one. All right, Washington hosting Cleveland. Not much really jumps off the page, in my opinion, on this game here. From an injury standpoint, Donovan Mitchell is listed as probable. Denny Avdija is questionable for this one here. This is a matchup in which Cleveland has just absolutely owned. They have crushed. They are 7-3 against the spread against Washington in their last 10, and they are 8-2. This is dating back to last year as well. Before last year, actually, they're 8-2 in their last 10 here. They've won 7 straight, and they've covered, I think it's 5 of their last 6. So this is a Cleveland team that's playing good basketball, and kind of like what we talked about in their last game. I like them bouncing back after that Orlando loss. They lose to Philly. I don't think Cleveland loses 3 games in a row, and certainly I don't think that they lose 4 of their last 5, especially in a cleanup spot against Washington, who has dropped 10 games in a row. So give me Cleveland here. The only problem is it's 11.5 points, but Even with that being said, this is a Washington team that hasn't covered that line in a couple games. So, they can get blown out. We've seen them already get blown out. What was that? When they played in January, right? Back-to-back nights. Not back-to-back. I think there's one game in between, right? Where Cleveland just swept the floor with Washington. So, potentially happening again. I don't think I'm pulling the trigger on it as a final play. When it comes to a total here, it is sitting at 234.5, which is weird because it's 2, 3, 4, 5. My brain goes places sometimes. I'm going to lean towards the over because I don't think Washington's playing much defense. Cleveland, they feel like they're in this scoring drought. Last 3 games, dating back to the game before the All-Star break, 108, 109, 97. Like, before that, they were giving you a fastball of 118, 119, 114, 130, 117. This is such a get-right spot for them, in my opinion. And what have they done against this Washington team this year? 140, okay, that's kind of more of an anomaly, right? They went off, but then 114, 114. If they can put up a floor of 114, if Washington can just kind of hang in there, I think we're looking at a floor of maybe 229 in this spot. You're telling me we can't get 5 points elsewhere throughout the game, foul shots, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to lean slightly towards the over here. And like I said, it's not my favorite spot or favorite game on the slate. No major player props jumping out to me here either. I don't think we roll with anything there. All right, Atlanta taking on Orlando, and again, it's not a game that I love, okay? And I hate the comments of people like, oh, I don't like it when you say you don't love this. Like, give me your confident plays in that game. I'm not going to fake confidence in a game that I'm not confident about, right? Like, we've built this channel on transparency and whatnot. Why would I be like, oh, I love the Hawks in this spot, which I do lean towards the Hawks, but why would I be like, I love the Hawks in spot if I might not even want to bet it myself? Like, it just doesn't make sense to me that people are fishing for that confidence when it's not there. Like, that's how you end up losing money, because then you yell at me when it loses, and I'm like, well, I didn't even tell you that I was really confident in it, right? But nonetheless, yes, I lean towards the Hawks just because you have Orlando here on a back-to-back, a game in which got a little bit closer than we would have liked, and this spread is kind of telling for me. Orlando has won 8 of their last 10 games. They've covered in 7 of their last 10. They've won 3 straight games here. Atlanta's kind of doing the opposite. They've lost 3 straight games. They were playing good basketball, but they've lost 3 straight games, and they've lost 3 against the spread as favorites too. Yet this line comes in as only a -1 on the Orlando side of things. So I do think, and this is also with no, I believe no Trae Young, or at least he's doubtful. So it's like, why is this spread where it is? Like, you'd think Orlando, I don't care about the back-to-back that much, right? It's a young Orlando team, and they're only 1-point favorites. Something's weird there, so I'm leaning towards Atlanta in this spot, just because, again, one, they're at home. They don't have Trae Young, I get it, but they have this guy, DeJounte Murray, who people seem to forget about as well, who could play some good basketball when Trae Young is not playing, which I don't mind him and Jalen Johnson either. Some of their overs today, nothing particular, but I think that they have good spots. But yeah, overall, give me Atlanta. It's more of a line reading situation because I would have thought Orlando would come in as like 4-point favorites, even with the back-to-back. Yet they're only 1-point favorites, and that's just asking and baiting people to take them. In terms of the total here, I'm going to lean towards the under. I think without Trae Young, maybe this game slows down a hair, and I mean like a hair, right? Nothing substantial. And Orlando's on a back-to-back here. I think that, their offense, they could be tired. And I wouldn't really trust, I guess, I know it kind of counters what I'm saying, but I wouldn't really trust what Atlanta's bringing to the table as of late. Like, they put up, 99 points against Charlotte? Who's to say they can't go in here and score 105 in a game in which you'd think they'd score a lot, but this is one of the better defenses that they've played in a while here. They could get kind of, smacked in the face, and it could be a low-scoring game. But like I started off saying, guys, not my favorite spot. Even my Atlanta lean is just kind of based on the line. All right, Houston taking on OKC. This one, I mean, I can't not look at OKC in this spot, right? They were kind of, I don't want to say struggling. That's not a good way to put it, but they did have a few unexpected losses in a row there for OKC, but now they're back to winning basketball. Was it the hardest schedule? No, but they played some good teams, or decent teams. Sacramento, then they beat the Clippers by 22. That's pretty impressive. And you could make the argument that, okay, well, Washington was just a cleanup game, right? They beat them by 40 points. So you can't knock them for beating a bad team by 40 points. They did exactly what they were supposed to do. Houston has been kind of in the you-know-what. Now, they got a good win against Phoenix, and you guys know what I always say. This is a team that plays better at home, and they stink on the road. They are, in their last 9 games, 3-6. 3 home games are the 3 wins. The 6 losses are all road games. So it is worth noting that they're at home here, but I think that this is just a OKC team that's a little bit, I could say a little bit better, I think, than than this team. In terms of them playing this year, Houston won the first bout here too, back in early December. I have a feeling OKC kind of remembers that and wants to come in and win this game. So I'll give OKC the nod in this spot. If this was like 8.5 or something like that, I don't think that I'd end up rolling with it. But nonetheless, we're sitting at 6. So I don't really, find myself scared of that line. In terms of a total 234, you'd like to think that, OKC pushes the pace and whatnot, because I just said that they're going to probably control the game and win. But I think this one goes under. I think Houston knows that, because Houston's been playing faster basketball than OKC. Houston has to know, okay, well, if we play fast, I think OKC has the personnel and team to just play better and faster. So if they kind of try to slow things down, it's going to fit right into the pocket of what OKC's actually been doing. They've been a bottom 10 team in the league in their last 10 games in terms of pace, and they've been winning basketball games. So people think of OKC as this fast, flying, young team. They can mix it up, and they've actually been playing slower as of late. So Houston might come in saying, all right, let's slow it down because we don't want them to run on us. Fits right into the recent game plan here of OKC. So I'll also lean towards the under as well. From a player prop perspective, a few things caught my eye. I don't mind looking at Alpi Sengun's unders, whether it's his points plus rebounds or his points, rebounds, and assists, only really because of the way he's been trending, and I don't necessarily think that he's going to be around the basket all that much if he's going to get the Chetty Holmgren matchup too, you know what I mean? Like, he might be away from the hoop a decent amount, and Jabari Smith may end up getting a lot more rebounds. So Sengun's line right now for PRA is 35.5. His points plus rebound line is 30.5. Both of those I really don't mind. OKC, if a center wants to get rebounds against them, they can. So I don't mean to say the opposite there, like they're a really good rebounding team against centers. I just think Sengun plays a little bit further from the hoop than he normally would in this game. So again, Sengun's under PRA or under points plus rebounds. And then, like I said, I could be talked into some Jabari Smith rebound numbers as well. He had 16 last game. His line's 8.5 right now, and he had 18 last time he played OKC. So I think that he's the one that gets the rebounds in today's game. So 2 player props, I don't mind in that spot. All right, guys, before we finish up today's slate, I need to talk to you about Sleeper. They have 3 deals going on right now. Yes, not 1, not 2, 3. For new users, you can get this Devin Booker square here. His new line is 0.5 for today's game. Obviously, you got to act fast. That's an afternoon game. But for all users, so if you're a new user, you qualify for all users as well. You get a Steph Curry discount square as well as a Shea Gilgeous-Alexander square. And I've shown you guys plenty of times my sleeper slips over on the YouTube Shorts as well as TikTok. I absolutely love this app. They throw so many discounts your way. If it's legal in your state and you're not on Sleeper, you're missing out on an app that you can definitely make some money on, as well as just a damn fun app. They do all of these, Sunday plays and whatnot too for these discounts. Super fun, guys. Go check out Sleeper. I have a link in the pinned comment, and you can get your first deposit matched. I believe it's up to $500 still. So if you throw in $500, they'll give you $500. You could throw in $25, they'll give you $25. Whatever you put in, they will double, which is absolutely awesome, guys. Go check it out. Again, that link is in the pinned comment, or just download the Sleeper app, the Sleeper Picks app, and use code GUYBOSTON, GUYBOSTON, spelling bee champ. That link's in the pinned comment. By the way, Sleeper also has a really cool payout system for their plays. Each and every pick that you throw into a slip has a unique and dynamic multiplier, so it doesn't just follow, okay, 2 for 2 equals 3 times and blah, 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 like the other apps. All of these discount squares keep their original multiplier, but are at a discount. It is very, very cool. Go check out Sleeper, guys. I'm telling you, you will not regret it. Link in the pinned comment as well as the description. All right, let's jump back into the last 5 games or so here. We are looking at the Pelicans taking on the Bulls in this spot. Now, I do think that this Pelicans team is, better than the Bulls, but that was a tough game against Miami the other night. And now we have Zion in the injury report. He's questionable. Brandon Ingram's questionable. CJ McCollum is out. No major injuries to note, I guess, for the Bulls. I think Patrick Williams has been ruled out for season, but, I mean, you could say that's a notable injury, not a major injury. I don't think in this spot it's really the best spot for the Pelicans, even if some of those guys go. Like, they had, again, that brawl that they had was a little weird. I think I slightly lean towards the Bulls, but hopefully you can even tell in my voice, I'm kind of on both sides here. Like, if Zion and Ingram get ruled in, like, I honestly could see myself getting talked into the Pelicans. So maybe this is a game in which right now I'm leaning Bulls. As I look into it throughout the day, you could even see Pelicans in the pinned comment. So I know that doesn't help you guys watching this video, but I'm just being transparent, right? Like this is sort of a weird spot for me. So what I don't think I'm going to waver on is taking the under in this spot. This is a spot in which 60% of the bets out there right now, so the public is on the over 60%, and 55% of the sharp money is on the under. I'm following the money in this spot. Both these teams, it's not like we have any barn burners out there either, so kind of like that spot. You have the 22nd and 24th pace team playing today, so I'm gonna lean towards the under in this spot as well. But yeah, I hate to do it to you guys, but I'll keep you posted on this this spread pick. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a final play, but it just like I'm not really confident on either side, which at that point it probably is a type of spot where we stay away. From player props, nothing really out there right now because of all the injuries listed, so don't even have anything to kind of research. All right, next up, we have Golden State taking on Denver. Golden State coming off of a win against Charlotte, in which a little bit of a tussle broke out at the end of that game as well. Denver coming off a win over Portland, 2 wins in a row. This is going to be the best team that Denver's played in a few games here, since the All-Star break. They played Washington and then Portland. Golden State played the Lakers and Charlotte, so it's not like they have this crazy strength of schedule coming out of the break, but they're a little bit more battle-tested there, and I might be betting against the ex-NBA champs or the former NBA champs or the reigning NBA champs here, because I guess the Warriors are also former NBA champs. But I like the Warriors here in this spot. A couple injuries to note. We're going to look at Jamal Murray and Kentavious Caldwell, both questionable in this spot, so I think that is definitely worth monitoring. If they play, I think Golden State may get a few more points, so maybe we wait this one out. But yeah, I just think Golden State's actually playing like good basketball. They've won 8 of their last 10, and this is a Denver team on the road, right? Like this Denver team does not play their best basketball on the road unless they're playing some schmuck of a team, but they've only covered in 43% of games on the road this year. I just can't really get behind it, so I sounded the psycho alert alarm. I get it. It might be crazy to bet against Denver in this spot, but give me the Warriors. I think that they're playing good basketball. In terms of a total, I'm going to slightly lean towards the under. I don't think that this one makes it into the final plays, but I just don't really see, either one of these teams super, super fast-paced in this spot, because Denver, even though they play on the road and they're not as good, they still are very good at playing that speed. And I think the Warriors are going to be accepting to that. Like, the Warriors don't necessarily need to run to beat this Denver team. They just have to play, efficient basketball, which you can make the argument is kind of how they've been winning games, right? Like even that game against Charlotte, they should have been able to score 1 million points on Charlotte. 97-84 was the final score. Like, I'm not saying it's going to be that type of game in Denver, but this Warriors team is playing good enough that they don't need to just score what they beat Utah. It was like 141 to 139 or something like that. Like, they don't need to score a bunch of points to win games. They're playing better basketball. So again, I like the Warriors more than I do the total in this spot. And then a player prop. I mean, I don't like that I'm looking at this, but I think it's a decent matchup. Draymond Green over 19.5 points, rebounds, and assists. In terms of his potential assists over his last 10 games, averaging 12 potential assists. So we should be looking at, 6 or 7 assists from him as a floor. And he's averaging, I want to say it was, let's see, I can pull it up. 13 rebound chances, grabbing 6 of those, 62% of those. So he should get us 8 rebounds. Now we're already talking about he's sitting at almost 14 rebounds as a floor, like 14 rebounds plus assists in this game. If he can go out there and score 5 points, we're sitting pretty good in this one. I hate betting Draymond, but I think in a game against Denver like this, he's going to be pretty damn involved. Utah taking on the Spurs. I think we can move fairly quick through this one. I like Utah. They're in desperate need of a win. They're at home here. They lost to Charlotte, which we were, in terms of a lean on the right side of a couple nights ago. I just don't really see how, anything the Spurs do, Utah can't necessarily do better here. I think that they're going to be moving towards that, John Collins at the 5 again, which is what worked for them originally. So give me Utah minus the points here. I do think that this could be a spot in which they kind of, I guess, get it back on track. I don't know if when they went on that streak, it was kind of like a facade and, they're just blowing smoke up or what's. Like, maybe that's the case. Maybe Utah isn't actually a decent basketball team, but I'll give them one last chance here, I think. So give me them minus the points. Total sitting at 240.5. Yeah, I mean, I'll consider the over as well. You have 2 defenses playing here that really aren't all that great. Utah on the season here allowing 121 from a points allowed perspective, and then the Spurs, as we know, allowing very similar 122. So this should be a game that gets up over 240. In terms of player props, You'd think that I'd like more in this game because I think there's going to be a decent amount of points scored, but nothing really jumps off the page to me. I would consider, what we'd have been cashing as of late is John Collins because of how involved he's been. But Victor Wembanyama can strip a lot of rebounds from these guys just because he goes, oh yeah, I'm tall, I'll take it, I'm long. So yeah, I don't really love that. I could consider Colin Sexton over 1.5 3-pointers made. The problem is the quantity is just not there for him. He's averaging over his last 10, 4.53 attempts per game. He's shooting them at a 42% clip, but I don't want him to have to shoot at a 40% clip to hit 2. You know what I mean? So it's something I consider, but the volume isn't necessarily there. So maybe no player props in this game. All right, before we get into the best game of the night between the Blazers and the Charlotte Hornets here, guys, go ahead and comment 30 because you made it damn near 30 minutes into the video. And by the time I'm done running my mouth here, we'll probably be at 30 minutes into the video. So go ahead and comment 30 in the comments, letting me know that you're not a guppy and that you made it this far into the video. But let's talk what will be an instant classic, the Blazers taking on the Hornets. Give me the Hornets. I don't care if if this is a Blazers team at home or anything like that. Like, this Hornets team is, they lost to Golden State. I get it. They didn't even cover, but they almost did. They lost on the hook. They were playing better basketball than Portland kind of right before the break and then also after the break. So I don't think I'm going to be betting this game, but I'll take that. I also don't think that there's going to be enough defense in this game to keep it at 214. Now, Charlotte has been playing slow, and they haven't been playing efficient. So you could make the argument, it's like there's no chance that this game goes up and over. And Portland also has not been playing much defense, but they've been playing slow and terrible offense. So everything would point to an under. I just think it's such a sloppy game that how can you not look at 215 points, right? So think about the analytics I just gave you. How can you not do it? Don't go tailing this one to being like, oh, you told me it was a lock. No. And no major player props in this game. I don't know if you can name 3 players in this game. Kidding, but you know what I mean. All right, Clippers taking on the Kings. We got SAC versus LAC in terms of their abbreviation, SAC, LAC. This is a Clippers spot for me altogether at home here. I think they're the better team overall. In fact, I don't know if it's really arguable if they're the better team. Sacramento has looked very good at plenty of times this year, but just 7th in the West right now, 32-23. The Clippers 37-18 here, sitting at 3rd in the West, coming off of a win against Memphis. They didn't cover, but they did get the win. Sacramento has played, who did they beat? They beat a really good team pre-break. Denver, they beat them, and then they come out of the break and only beat San Antonio by 5 points. Now, that is worth noting with the injuries that they had. Everyone played, but De'Aaron Fox and Sabonis were both on the injury report prior to that game, so maybe they're a little bit hobbled. This injury report seems fairly clean. Norm Powell is listed as probable here for the Clippers, so maybe he plays. But yeah, if this was sitting at 7.5, maybe even one more point, I'd probably either stay away, and then once it got to 8, I'd probably look at the Kings. But 6.5 here, I also see 6 on FanDuel. I'm not really afraid of that. I'll probably lay it. It got a chance to be a final play, lay it with the Clippers. In terms of the total, 240 right now. It's a little bit too high for me, but if this game goes transition, it's going to score, they'll score 300 points damn near, because neither one of these teams are good at defending transition, and they both are pretty damn good at scoring in transition. Not to say that, the Clippers are a transition-esque team. The Kings definitely are more of a little bit of a transition team than them, but the Clippers can score in transition, man. So I'll lean towards the over, even though it's not necessarily something that I would usually kind of consider with a Clippers game, but this game definitely has the makings to be able to kind of get the tempo up and up and up. In terms of player props, I know I've said it a few times here, but I'm gonna probably stick away from player props here. I could see Sabonis having a good game in this spot. His PRA line is at 41.5. Last time he played them, he was well below this line through, I think he only played like 20-something minutes, so probably looks for a little bit of a bounce back spot here. On a season, he's hit this line in 55% of games, 65 in his last 20, and then 8 of his last 10, and one of those he finished at 40, which is 2 games ago. So I do think that, though it's not the best matchup for him, it could be a game that he gets up for, but even that's a little bit of a stretch. So that's all I got for you guys today. Hope you guys did enjoy. Again, if you did, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as well. I'm so excited for the NBA to be back. I know we just got back a few days ago, but it still feels like, energetic and let's go, we're back type of thing for me. So that's why I'm probably cheesing so much in this video. But shout out to that guppy the other day being like, or, a month ago being like, you smile too much in your videos. This is better for you, bud? But I'll leave you guys with that, all right? Catch you in the next one. Peace out.